We are live. Okay, we are live now. Okay, so we are live on YouTube. Go ahead, Diola.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Happy Sunday to you. My name is Dr. Adiola Kindana, and we are so glad you are joining us live. We have all our crew, our moms, our mentors, all here. Today, going to talk to you about feed a neighbor, feed a nation. So I will say welcome to you, Mommy Fumi. Welcome to you, Mommy Nika Grange. Welcome, Jumoke. So we are going to be the host and questionnaire for today, talking to you about this project, Laudable project actually, that we've been doing and the campaign about feeding our neighbor and feeding the nation.
Thank
Jumoke?
you. And then Auntie Tolu is also here. She's going to be joining us shortly. Auntie Tolu is
Wonderful.
also one of the directors. So we have the three matriarchs that are also the director of this initiative. So it's such a privilege and an honor to have them here. And these are people that we've been standing on their shoulders that inspire us to continue to do what we do. So it's going to be great. And then we have Mrs. Shonuga, our UK liaison, also here. We have Beatrice, one of our members, and then one of my favorite kings, King Albert, is also here, and so this is going to be a very great session. So there are about 13 of us that are on the fan committee that are putting this together, and as we mentioned, we have the three mom and aunties that are the directors of the initiative. So, Diola, over to you. Kick us off. Who do you want to
All
start off
right.
with?
Well, I just want to start off with giving a little background on what we're doing. All of us are kind of spread all over the world, but what is really wonderful is that with the age of technology, we are all just close together. The whole world has become a village. And so we see on real time basis what's going on in Nigeria, the struggles people are going through and challenges with the economy and people having challenges with buying food. It doesn't even matter if you live in a beautiful house, if things are hard, things are hard. And then not to talk about those who are less privileged. And so out of that need came this campaign, I should say, to make a difference in the lives of people who are struggling, to reach out to you, people like myself, all those who will be hearing this. It really doesn't matter who you are, that it is important to look out for our neighbors. It is important to look out for our sisters and brothers to make sure that nobody goes to bed hungry. And so we've done a kickoff of this campaign and program. And later on, Jumoke is going to kind of share with all of us where we are right now with the campaign. But really, the campaign is about giving whatever you have. Nothing is too big, nothing is too small, be it financially, be it food products. If you're a company putting us in one of your line items, budget items to donate, if you're a business person that deals in food, or you even want to buy, pay or buy for the food so that we could have some food to distribute, this is definitely welcomed. Also, if you just want to feed your neighbors, call them to come have dinner with you, call them to have breakfast with you. We want to encourage everyone, all hands on deck. Like I said before, and we strongly believe in this, that no one should go to bed hungry. And we are really, really very proud of what we've been able to accomplish in such a short period. But I can assure you, without you out there, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So I'm going to pass it over to Jumoke. She does due diligence to keep us up to date on how the campaign is going, just to kind of give you a little bit of update where we are, what we've received so far. And then after that, we're going to engage in conversations with our mummies and aunties and directors and even can I'm not sure. Can people ask questions, Jumoke, or type questions in comments, or
No,
is there
unfortunately,
interaction, or is just gonna be between us?
unfortunately not, but we can put an email address of, and we'll have the phone numbers, we'll project phone numbers of all the contacts we have across the nation. I just mentioned Mrs. Shonuga, who is in UK. Her phone number we'll be projecting her phone number, mine, Mommy Grange, Auntie Fumi's, and all the different liaisons we have across the country.
And that will be important so that you can reach out to us if you want to, not a matter of if, we would like for you to definitely participate. So Jumoke, please just kindly share with us a brief summary of where things are, what we are trying to achieve moving forward, and ways that people can contribute, and then we will continue the conversation.
Thank you, Diola. So I just mentioned, I think this morning we got another huge donation of 500,000 naira. So that puts us at about 3.2 million naira, 3,300 and something dollars, and 500 pounds. We'll be projecting that. That's part of our financial transparency and accountability. Periodically, we will project what we've received so far. We haven't quantified the units of food that we got, but we got 50 units of 5 kg rice, 50 units of ewa oloyin. We got, I think, 105 units of 2 kg gari, Ijebu gari, yellow gari, white gari. So that came up to like 105 units. So we'll quantify that, and so that we'll give it a dollar value. We also got 29 2 liters of palm oil. Again, if you look at all this, I think 5 liters, 5 kg bag of rice at Olam is about almost 5,000 naira. So do your math, we'll do that. So we've gotten quite a lot of response from the generosity of other Nigerians, with our directors hitting the ground and really making the rounds. And our goal this time around, we want to continue it, to do this, is to reach at least 2,000 families. And our projection is 5 kg rice, 5 kg beans, 5 kg gari, and 2 liters of palm oil or vegetable oil to each family. If we can reach 2,000 families in January, that'll be great. But based on the donations we got in Lagos, because the 50 units we're talking about, we got that in Lagos. So we'll reach out to a community in Lagos. One of our members is already working, trying to get information, needs assessment about the different communities that we'll be reaching out to. And what is also important to note is we have a pledge from a baker. Auntie, I don't know if the donors are all anonymous and we shouldn't mention names, but we also got...
No.
Don't mention names?
No, we can. Mrs.
Okay.
Subaya.
Okay, Mrs. Subaya owns a bakery, and she's giving us 100 loaves of bread. So we have agreed, the team has agreed that we would take this to a public hospital, general hospital, and as part of our outreach, as part of the Feed a Neighbor, but we add akara to it, and then water, so that it's a meal, and use that to reach out to them. We also got a pledge from a restaurant, but we haven't fixed a date of when we're going to get that yet. So maybe,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jumoke, for that update. As you can see, just every ordinary citizens are stepping up, donating. So food items, like I said, non-perishable food items, preferably. But if you have other items that you want to donate, please reach out to us. We can coordinate with you. And this is all over the country, so not just Lagos, where we are having this drive, and we have contacts that can help you in terms of the logistics and things like that. So without further ado, I want to bring on board our big mommy, big auntie, Mrs. Fumi Ajayi Tomori. She really is a food soldier. There is no other way to describe her. Her compassion and zeal to make a difference is just undescribable. So welcome to the, yes, definitely worthy of that clap. So, well, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what drives you to want to make a difference in this project.
I'm just, thank you very much, Deola. I'm a retiree without pension. But still, you thank God for the position you are in. Poverty is real. I've not seen this type of poverty in my life. What I've been seeing since end of COVID, once you step out of your door, your drivers, your security, your neighbors, many of them are poor. And poverty has grades. Some have jobs. They are earning between 30 to 80,000 naira a month. They are still very poor. They are emancipated. You step out on the street, my street, I live in Ilukweju, and I go for walks every morning. And you just see people emancipated. You see people with shabby clothes. And they're saying, good morning, granny, this and that. They want to draw your attention. And when I look, my heart drops. This is the face of poverty. Never, never, never seen in Nigeria. Because you remember in the 50s, 60s, the farms, the villages were not far. You could buy simple things for little bits and pieces. You imagine a loaf of bread that used to be about 50 naira 2 years ago is now about the agege bread is now 250, and you can squeeze it in your hands. So how do they feed? If you go to the food stands near me, I walk to see them and I watch people. And I just wonder, they are trying to manage 500 naira. And you can count the grains of beans. So I think when we started talking about out-of-school children, sometime in September, October, we stumbled on, if you say out-of-school children, a child that is not well fed, how do they go to schools? So that's how the poverty theme came in. And I'm so glad, I'm delighted that the group has decided to take it on. It was not intentional, we stumbled on it, but thank God we stumbled on it. And I understand quite a number, a few. I know many of the churches have their social welfare scheme, but the number of poor is so large, is so huge, that we really have to be active. And the more groups that are involved, the better, although in a systematic way, because otherwise it's either the same people getting assistance while the needy don't really get it. That's why we must be more organized. And so I'm delighted, and I'm very grateful to all of you. You have been very encouraging, because sometimes my heart just drops. But when I hear Sisinike Grange and my lovely Jumoke, and Deola, you are very ebullient, very active, you just encourage me to say, all is not lost. When I'm tired, I look up to you to lift me up so that we can fight this battle. We have just started the tip of the iceberg, because it is a huge, huge problem. And I'm amazed. The government announces palliative 5 billion. I can see it. 3 million is a lot to us. And look at things we are doing. What are we doing? Nigerians have always been known to be sympathetic, to care. When did we become, I don't know what adjective to, so heartless? When? But I do hope that the little effort we'll make, at least we will have some multiplier effect, so we can do more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mommy. Very, very well said. And you know, it's so easy going every day, doing our own daily business and things, and everybody's running here and there. And it is very easy to not see what is going on around us. And I think you being a retiree and walking around your neighborhood, not just jumping in your car and off to the next thing, allows you to actually survey what is going on the ground. But I really just have to say thank you that you don't just see and close your eyes. You didn't just see and turn away your head. You saw it and you are doing something. And so again, this is why we're here live today, to encourage others. People are working, but again, you can make a difference. It doesn't matter how big, how small. I always tell people, if you had to put a bucket in your faucet and go off to work or your daily business and just a drip, drip, drip of water, I am very sure that by the time you get back, you will have a full bucket. And that is how powerful a drip is. Before we continue this conversation, I also want to pull in our other big mommy, Professor Nike Grange. Please come online. Again, she's done Instagram with us. She's been there as our advisor, our mentor, our guide from the beginning. And just to pull you into this conversation, welcome. I don't see her on my screen anymore. I saw her a minute ago. Oh, there
She's
you
here.
go.
Right here. And Auntie Tolu is also here.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm projecting the three directors.
There you go. So welcome, Ma. And again, I would like for you to explain to people who are listening, like a little bit about yourself, and again, what motivates you. I mean, because Mommy says we encourage her, but I mean, I'm looking at these young 80s ladies, and they are still moving mountains, and I'm like, I have no excuse at all. So please just tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivates you, and how can you just encourage people who are listening to us?
Thank you, Deola. Yes, we have been motivated by you younger people.
Thank you,
like Auntie Fumi said, we are retired, and it's quite easy for us to just stay in our own little corner and, make do with whatever we've got. Even though our pension is small, we can make do with the little that we've got. But with the technology, as you've said, we are able to get information of what is happening all over the world, and particularly in Nigeria, which is supposed to be a developing country. Let me say that, first of all, I'm a retired pediatrician, but obviously as a pediatrician, I'm never retired because I see children in difficulties all over the world, and I must contribute any way I can into discussions as to how to make their situation better, the situation of children and their families, without making the situation of the families better. The children cannot actually survive. So that is my own little background. So I want to talk about this campaign from three perspectives. The first one is to say that it's not, poverty exists all over the world. But in privileged places, the combating the poverty is a joint effort between the government and the civil society and citizens. So what has made our own different is that somehow the effort of our government has not been impactful. So we find ourselves as civil society and citizens wanting to take on the challenge of bridging the gap, filling the vacuum that has been created through lack of impactful action. So that is one perspective I want us to have. The second perspective is that if this condition is left unattended to, it makes people lose hope totally in their lives, and in fact they develop mental health problems, and the youth in particular become drug addicts. And we've mentioned how children drop out of school, and by dropping out of school, many more of them are recruited into criminal activities. So we begin to breed a society which is going to backfire on us in terms of creating violence within the community. And once violence is established in the community, it's very difficult to eradicate, as you can see. So that is the second perspective. And you can see that it is very important, therefore, to try and intervene in this terrible trajectory of this terrible trajectory of negative problems that will happen in our society. Therefore, my third perspective is that, yes, we are all affected by poverty in the land. Let me tell you, all of us, including the middle class and whatever, because what we used to have before, we are not able to have anymore. The currency situation is terrible for us, and yes, still have, yes. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to chime in and elaborate on these areas. Okay, so these are the important sequelae, I'm using sequelae as a professional.
A medical term.
Fallout. The important fallout.
Yes, important fallout. Yes, important fallout of what we are of the situation today. So it's a very, very serious thing, and that's why we are all together trying to do our best to meet with the challenges. The challenges are huge, and therefore we need you all. Everybody is needed to join us to try and address these challenges. I've left those three areas, and so that my colleagues can elaborate on them and help me put more words, appropriate words into the text for you, and let us try and do our best to support this campaign. Campaigns are all over the world. They are usually managed by a few people, but those few people, because of their passion and their intentions, their integrity and all that, can help to provide resources that will make a difference in this situation. Thank you very much.
Well, very, 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 very well said, I would say, and very true. But I just want to jump on your number one comment, which is the issue with the government. And so unfortunately that if we have to embark on that dialogue, it will take us in a whole different direction. But what I would say about that is the government almost seems like an abstract, almost like so far away from us, even though they're supposed to be close to us. But your neighbor is right next to you. And so even, yes, government are supposed to do some things, but before even if government was to give money before you go and reach out and go to wherever they're giving the thing, you already said good morning or good afternoon to your neighbor. So it's all hands on deck. And yes, we need to hold our government accountable. And as I said, that's a conversation for another day. We have the right, and it is our responsibility to hold our government accountable for what they need to do. But it is impossible for any government, not even in the United States of America, does the government do everything for its citizens. It takes you and I to make a difference. So that's why, again, we are coming to us to say, what can you do? Yes, we know government has responsibility. We know there are shortcomings, but what can you do? What can I do? What can those people on this platform that's having this conversation now doing? And we started off with telling you what we've been able to accomplish in the last, 30 to 45 days. So we practically just started this in November and has been able to acquire and make a difference, have people, just talking to the heart of people. And that's really why we are coming to you again. And the other thing that I want to say is about those hungry children and people, especially the youth, becoming a nuisance in society. No one will be spared. And the quickest way to get people to become a nuisance is basic needs of life. People need food, they need shelter, they need clothes. Those are the basic things of life. And so when people are hungry, they will steal, they will just do unthinkable things that ordinarily they wouldn't do. And that's why we are focusing on FanFan. We want that name to be a household name, Feed a Neighbor, Feed a Nation, but it's FanFan for short. And before we dive in more, let me just bring our third esteemed auntie into this conversation in the name of Chief Mrs. Tolu Ighodalo. Welcome, Ma. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, what motivates you, and why this campaign is important to you.
Good evening, ladies. I don't know if there's any gentleman on this platform. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to this platform, even though onto this project, even though I consider myself to be ill qualified. I'm retired, more or less, and I haven't earned any money since I stopped working in 2019. So it is always very difficult to want to ask people for money or to want to contribute money. A little about myself is what you asked for. I ended my career as a human resources director for Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. Before that, I was also a human resources director for the National Gallery of Arts, all on contract because I refused to become a career civil servant. And in between, I worked with NEPA before it became PHCN. I was in charge of learning and performance management. And when I left NEPA, when my contract ended, I refused to beg to get it renewed. I started my own consulting company and was lucky enough to be the consultant who helped PHCN and the Ministry of Power EE to organize the biometrics, knowing the numbers of the power sector employees, and the HR analysis of the power sector in readiness for privatization, which was why I was employed by PHC in the first instance to help them get their officers ready and the organizations ready for privatization. So I've worked in the latter part of my life with government. I started the first part of my career with government. I started working at the age of 16. I was just finished school set and I was tired of asking for money from home. So I walked into WNCV, WNBS, and offered myself for a job. And I did that job as a broadcaster from that December of 1971. I started working December. And I worked throughout my A levels. I worked throughout my university years as a contract staff to WNCV, WNBS. And that is why in 2019, when we did 60 years of broadcasting in Nigeria, WNCV, WNBS, I was one of the lead participants. I got the vice president then, Yemi Oshibajo, to come and be the guest speaker at the grand finale, which was quite a feat, you know. So my first career was broadcasting. It's still the love of my life. My next career was book publishing, and I was an editor. I worked with Evans, and I thoroughly enjoyed it because as a child, I was never far from a book. My nose was always in a book. When my mother used to take me for her ministry meetings, I was the only girl. I was the eldest, so she never left me at home. She took me around like a handbag. I would sit in a corner with one book or the other, and I'm still in love with books. So
let me even just jump in. Let me even just jump in there because you've said so many things that I just kind of find intriguing, which is the fact that you started working at the age of 15. And I remember also growing up in Nigeria, 16, 15, 16, pretty much the same. But I mean, I'm just kind of trying to transpose that to today's world. Because I remember when we were also growing up in high school, we used to be able to do summer jobs. So in relation to our campaign and how it even affects kids these days, I just even looking for food to eat, talk less of, working. You talked about reading books and being a lover of books. Can they even find books to read when they are hungry? They are walking up and down the street like we've been said. How can you transpose your future, your past into our present day?
Well, first of all, even though there's a significant portion of the country and of the children of the country who are hungry, it is the children of the elites that don't work. The children of the poor work. Your housemates, go to the markets, they're pushing garbage trucks, they're helping you with your load in the markets, washermen, they work. Even those who are begging on the road are working. They're working for somebody. They're not begging for themselves.
Wow.
They are actually working for somebody. Somebody owns them. Even the almajiris are abandoned in some cases, handed over by their parents to some imam who uses them to beg and collects the money they make. So don't let's be clear. I have interviewed a number of them on the streets of Lagos, Lekki, Ikeja. They work for somebody. Those ones who are begging,
is that the future we want for these children, though? Would you say?
I'm not even, Jumoke knows, maybe I'm not the right person to be talking to about these things because
no, Auntie, you're the right person.
I practically lost hope for Nigeria because we're not the only country where people don't go to school. There's a sizable percentage of children in America who don't go to school because they are part of the country don't believe in that kind of formal education, you know. But because there's such a large percentage and proportion, and because we're a developing country, and without education, we cannot develop. And the greater the percentage of educated people, the better the country becomes. So that is why we must really work on education. Now, having said that, a lot of people are doing things. Believe you me, a neighbor of mine in the block of flats where I live, an American Caucasian, adopted a school in Bejuleki somewhere. She has a beach resort there. She adopted a primary school that she's funding and financing. My family adopted a primary school in my father's place and also the one in my mother's place. But those are individuals. There is an orchestra company called the Vesta. The lady who set it up, what they did was go to Lagos State government to give them permission to teach music and musical instruments and the arts to secondary and primary school students in Lagos State. The state, in its magnanimity, in quotes, gave them permission. They are doing 200 schools in the VI, Ikoyi, Etiosa axis. 200 schools where they are teaching. And they are workers, they are not professionals in that regard. They are employees, but their hobby is music. So they devote their time.
I don't want to jump. I mean, I will have to jump in is what I should say, because again, I want us
we have
to
limited time.
Yeah, just for the sake of our listeners, how do we take your experience? And I mean, even you were talking about adoptions of schools. Maybe how can we translate that into what FanFan is doing? I mean, just listening to you, I could already just give a suggestion that maybe for those who have, adopt a primary school and provide lunches for them. So how can you take a lot of all these experiences that you have and help, give us some recommendations, especially or suggestions to the listeners for this food drive? Because there's so many needs. If we stay here, we could talk all night. But
I think we need to be focused. We need to be focused along the line that we've already chosen. Okay, we encourage people to contribute money, provide us funds, and we buy foodstuffs and we package them the way you would do for your staff, and we choose which areas to distribute. It can never be enough. What we have will never be enough. So we have to choose, and we have to do it in a way that we will not become overrun. Because if we go to the public and we stay in a van and we are distributing food, we will soon be overwhelmed with people rushing to come and take. So we have to have a structure of where we are going to go and how we are going to distribute. That's number one. That is either we take a particular area, and we need to look at where the people who can afford to eat are. It's not everybody is disadvantaged now, but it's not all that cannot afford to eat anything. Mm-hmm. Some still trade, some still work in the market, some still do their businesses. So what they have may not be enough to buy what they need, but that doesn't mean they don't have anything at all. But
so how do you plead to those who do have something to partner with us or collaborate with us, or either volunteer or contribute to what FanFan is doing? Because you're right, there are some people who are kind of still okay. So can you please say something to them? They're listening to you, or they will be listening when they run into this
Well,
conversation.
when the economy gets bad, you cut your coats. You don't spend as much as you used to. You stop
Okay.
spending money on frivolities. You also consider saving a little. Part of the problem is that nobody in Nigeria believes in saving amongst the uneducated and the peasantry. They will tell you that how much are they making. But the truth is, if you look at how much a carpenter makes, a plumber, a tiler, an electrician, they make a lot more money than a civil servant. And they don't quibble, they charge. They will charge you for their labor and they will charge you for their transports. And any materials they buy, they will add money on top. They are not disadvantaged. The people who are disadvantaged are those on the streets. And unfortunately, in Lagos, most of them are not from this part of the country. They are immigrants. They are immigrants primarily from the north. So we could decide to give within the area of Trinity House, the church, and maybe the areas where some of us live. And we contribute, or we take an area like Makoko with the floating community, or places within Lekki right-hand side, who are mainly immigrants, who don't have, they really don't have, because they have too many children, they do very menial jobs, their wives, a lot of our low-level workers, artisans, their wives don't work. Their wives don't work the way you and I work. They will tell you that their wife cannot work, that they don't want their wife to work. And I say,
Well,
how
this is
can you
really
have enough money?
enlightening, actually.
So
Ask
Diola,
your
Jumoke,
drivers.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
okay.
Ask your drivers, how many of them does his wife work? How many?
I think Jumoke wants to say something.
No, I wanted to point out that following up on the conversation, Auntie Tolu is talking about where the communities that we would reach out to. So part of what we have agreed on the team is to almost like a needs assessment, and Miss Solomon is working on that, like gathering information on the data we have on the most impoverished areas, and it could be where they have records of high dehydration rate or something. So that's part of what we're gathering. So we want to have like a system to identify the communities that we're going to reach out to and make sure that we are really targeting the communities that need it. So we're doing a lot of background research right now. We've reached out to Action Aid to see if there's any data they can give us. And I think the last meeting, someone suggested we also reach out to UNICEF to see what the needs assessment or their information on the different areas are. And then someone also suggested reaching out to like the Catholic Church, that they have some information. So that's part of what we're doing.
But do we have enough time?
Yeah, well, this week, we would have this week to do some of those research. For the Lagos one, for the larger one, Lagos one, we can identify areas. We felt Makoko may not be the place to go because of it's really a lot of people do go to Makoko, but there are a lot of areas, impoverished areas in Lagos that no one knows about. So we have someone that is doing the analysis on that, and she will report back to the team, and we will present this. So we want to kind of be objective in the areas we select. So we don't want people to think we're selecting an area because we are there or we're familiar with it. We want to hit those areas that we've kind of done a little bit of scientific analysis to really provide the needs for that for the community. And that's what we are going to be doing in the other areas across the country. For example, we know now that Jigawa and Benue, because of flooding and because of Fulani herdsmen activities, there are a lot of areas that are gravely impacted with food insecurity. So we'll be working on that, and we would have those information from that kind of helps us to be more objective in how we select the communities we serve. Yes.
Okay, while you're talking, can you please post the information for how people can donate? Again, it's not just for Lagos. This is for all over Nigeria, and we have both the information for donation and also the coordinators on ground. So if they're closer to your region, please also put that people can write down those numbers and reach out to them so that we can coordinate better, just like you said. Did you just say Jigawa? I think that's
the couple of states, when we reached out to Action Aid, they had talked about Jigawa. There are quite a few areas they mentioned, so we are waiting for that information. Can everyone see my screen? I'm projecting the contact people. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, and also the website is very simple. The website is tryafricaef.org. So www.africaef, try, TRI, Africa, EF, empowermentfoundation.org. So we also have our email address there.
Empowerment Foundation or just EF.org?
EF.org. So what I'm saying is the EF stands for Empowerment Foundation. So I'm projecting it on the screen so it's easy for people to see. That's our contact information. These are the contact information of those that are the volunteer coordinators, and would also be putting out a survey or expression of interest to volunteers that would help us coordinate. Like the bakery, we picked December 16th as the day to visit the hospitals with the bread. And I believe that's the same day we are distributing food in Lagos as well, that the one that we have. What we don't want to do, we don't want to keep the food till January, just again because of humidity and also pesticides. So we'll be distributing the 100 in Lagos, and we don't want to transport it because of cost of transporting food outside Lagos at this time as well. So that's why we're picking a community in Lagos.
So this is a bakery actually that Jumoke was talking about, and I have to say thank you to Mommy Fumi for reaching out and coordinating that decided, yes, they're not giving money there, but they're actually giving food. And I'm really very excited about that, because we decided that we were going to go to a general hospital and feed children who are hospitalized or women who just gave birth that are in need of food. So these are perishable goods. And as soon as we were going to be distributed the same day that we receive them in real time, we are not sitting on anything. Our job is to make sure, like we said, feed a neighbor, feed a nation. And this can be replicated all over the country. If you have a bakery anywhere, if you have a restaurant and you want to, feed people in your community, please reach out to us. We can coordinate with you and make sure that this happens, help you to identify communities that could be best served. Anybody will take a free food, even the rich man will take a free food. But most important is we want to reach out to those who are really hungry and in dire need. And I just want to also call into this conversation, and anybody please kindly jump in as we are conversating. Mrs. Olushola Shonuga, she's our coordinator in UK and making great strides. We really thank you that you are joining us. Please, if you are still online, jump into this conversation. Beatrice also is doing great strides on ground, working with widows and widowers. So after Mrs. Shonuga, please, Beatrice, also come on board. And we really we talk about logistics in our meeting. So this conversation really is more about pleading to our listeners. So, I mean, if you have any suggestions, definitely give, but more so, I want us to focus more on pleading to our listeners. What motivates you to participate in this project, and how can others also be counted? Yeah, raise your hands and be counted. So take it away, Ms. Chonuga, Mrs. Chonuga. Thank you.
So we are up on the hour. I just wanted to just time check. We are up on the hour, so we have probably about 5 minutes, and then maybe we can close with each of the directors giving their closing remark.
Yeah, now I'd like Beatrice to say something too before we do that.
Good evening, everybody. Just to be quick, I'm on board because I just care that people shouldn't be hungry, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will get involved. A lot of people will do, and not just this year, but ongoing. There are lots of people doing good stuff, but I think I want to really highlight that we are being very transparent in what we're getting, and not a single one of us is taking a penny out of what we've raised. We're just, going to give it straight back to the people that need it.
Adjust your devices, echoing a little bit. Adjust your devices, echoing a little bit, so it can be clearer.
Okay, is that any better?
Oh, much, much better. Thank you.
Okay. So just saying that we're being very transparent, and people should trust that whatever we give is going to go straight to the people that need it.
Wonderful. Thank you. How about you, Beatrice? What do you have to say to the people listening?
Yes, thank you and good evening, ma. I want to appreciate every directors on the board and on this live broadcast this evening. To everyone listening to us, this is an initiative that is coming together from respected individuals and organizations in Nigeria, and we are making a lot of putting food together through donations to reach as many people from every part of Nigeria. And I want to say thank you to everyone that has donated in cash and in food items. And I'm also using this opportunity to call everyone that has come across our flyers or our account number on this food campaign that you should do your part as a citizen. There are many people that are blessed in this country, and others are looking for food to eat. If we are going to join our hands together to make Nigeria better, it is through our humanitarian service. And we can be a blessing to thousands of people on the streets by doing this. Some you may not want your name to be mentioned, but your money, your donation can go a long way to reach the vulnerable individuals in the north or in the community that they are subjected to hunger, that they need your help. Please donate your part, and God bless you all in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think, I don't know what we could say to top that. Thank you so much, Beatrice. Because of the sake of time that we are coming up on the hour, you have heard what everyone has to say here. We have retirees on board. We have just everyday people here. You and I, we are all busy, still working, running up and down. But it's still important, I think, personally, to take that moment to say thank you and be grateful that we have food to eat. And how do you make a difference in the life of those people who are less fortunate, who do not have that food? We've heard from Mommy Grange talk about the impact. She used the word sequelae. Sequelae means you may have a small disease and you're able to cure it, and that's fine. But if it happens again and again and again, before you know it, it begins to weigh you down, and it can even take someone's life. So when we use the word sequelae, it means things have turned for the worse, and we should not wait as a country, really, as a neighbor, for a person. Oh my show! When you hear that somebody died, we shouldn't wait for that to happen. before we, like get up and be counted, get up and make a difference in your community. And I love what Beatrice said, that if you want to be anonymous, we have some people who are working with us. They don't want their names announced. They just want to be on low key doing their thing. You are very much welcome. You want to advertise your business by giving, there is nothing wrong with that, because you are doing it with great intention. So it doesn't matter whether, yes, you want to be identified or not. We as an organization, we are transparent with everything that we receive. We put out reports. It can be seen on our website, if I'm correct, Jumoke,
Yeah,
right?
and if I can also add to that, I think it's important for us to express the fact that we have financial accountability to the US government and to the Nigerian government as well.
Okay.
So Tri-Africa Empowerment Foundation is a registered US public charity, and we have our 501c3. So everything you donate is tax deductible. And because of that,
But if you're living in the US,
if you're living in the US, if you're living in the US and you donate, in the US, we'll give you a tax receipt. We've been doing that. Everyone who donates $100 or more, we give you a tax receipt, and we send thank you letters to every one of our donors. And also in Nigeria, we have this EFCC clearance that says that our organization is not set up for money laundering. And
That's
then we are
cool.
compliant with the financial rules. So we have an open book. And of course, we would also be transparent about logistics, what we spend on logistics. We are not looking to spend any more than 10% on logistics. That is why the food or the donations we get, we want to distribute it locally so that we don't incur additional cost on logistics. We want all the money, as much of it, maybe at least 90% of the funds we raise, to go to the food itself. There's a lot of donation. People have been spending their time and resources to come alongside with that. So I just wanted to add that before each of the directors have maybe a 1 minute closing remark.
And before they do that, I actually want to let everyone know, everyone that's working in the background on this project are working free.
Yes.
Nobody is getting paid. Even those who said they are retiring with pension and not getting paid.
And they're giving their money. They're spending their money.
Their money and their time. So again, this should motivate each and every one of us. I hope listening to this conversation will spark something in you, the humanity that is in you, to again reach out to your neighbor, see how you can be a part of this project, see how you can make a difference in the lives of others. I'm going to give Mommy Grange, Mommy Fumi, and Auntie Tolu 1 minute. If you do more than 1 minute, I will cut in just to kind of give a quick summary or word of encouragement or advice to our listeners.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Diola. 1 minute. Just to fill in the gap again in terms of motivating the public, and that is the fact that this lack of food causes malnutrition among children, and among very young children, and among babies even in the womb. And this leads to poor development of the brain. So, we need to be very, very conscious of the fact that if we are not dealing with the malnutrition in the community, particularly where it concerns pregnant women and children, we are going to be breeding children who are unable to study and to have a livelihood of their own, to develop enough skills and knowledge to be able to look after themselves. And so this becomes intergenerational. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. And they are the future. So we have to invest in them. Mommy Fumi.
Thank you very much, Deola. I just want to say that I still look forward to tapping into, especially the food industry, supermarkets, so that we can get more to distribute to the less fortunate people. There's a huge, huge gap there. So a lot of more grease to our elbow. And I'm also, since we agreed that we should do the first part on the 16th of December, I do hope all the local volunteers will gear up to that event, because I'll be keeping in touch with Mrs. Subar, who, by the way, is the granddaughter of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, to make sure that, yes, she has increased her supply from 50 to 100. And she says we should advise her so that they can collect on the money they want to distribute. And we mustn't forget to tell the local people, we either boil the eggs or fry them.
I don't know that we are going to do
no, we are not doing eggs, but
we said
we'll talk more about the logistics.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah, but I think I would like for you to talk more, to plead directly to those food manufacturers that you were talking about. Can you just, in 30 seconds, plead directly to them to come on board and be a part of what we're doing here? We can't hear you.
Were you referring to me?
Yes, ma.
Me?
Mommy Fumi, yes, you were talking about
that
food suppliers, food manufacturers.
Yes, because they are quite. Yes, the food industry. We need to tap into it, really, because if whatever the amount of things they can give us, so that we can get it, like the milk companies, the oil companies. I don't want to do Indomie, no. The tomato companies and on, and then the supermarkets, catering industries and things we need. That's why I kept on saying, Jumoke said we should wait till the new year so that we can really sit down and plan this, how we approach these possible partners.
Wonderful. Thank you, ma. All right. Auntie Tolu, please go ahead, ma. 1 minute.
Auntie, you are muted.
You're muted.
Sorry. I think I agree with Mommy Fumi that we may do better to extend this. And because I don't know how ready we're going to be for the 16th. But if we are ready, the little we can do, we do then. If we have excess, we can do again in the new year. We can make it a regular thing. It doesn't have to be tied to a holiday. It can be a regular thing. We can even extend to having a food, what do they call it in the US? A food kitchen,
Drive.
a soup kitchen. Even if it's, say, once a week or once in 2 weeks, a soup kitchen where children can come to get food and eat. And I also subscribe to feeding children in school, especially the children in kindergarten or the markets. You would expect that there would be food in the markets for children, but would there be milk, for instance? There are companies that do milk with whom we can partner with and say, could you give us milk once a week for children in this area? And so on like that. So those are my own little pennies worth. And for that, we need more time. So we don't have to limit it to now. We can do what we can now, but it's a continuing process. And as we gather momentum, we can affiliate with other companies. Another thing I wanted to ask, the flyers for sending out, the electronic flyers for sending out, what we have that Jumoke was sharing today is too wordy for us to send out and circulate to business, food
Oh,
manufacturers,
we have a one
business
pager. We have
owners.
a one pager.
There's a
Oh,
one-page
we have
flyer
a
as
Yeah.
one
well.
pager. We have a one page flyer.
Yes, I think we need
Yeah.
to circulate that again, so that frequently, so that people can use it to circulate to their network.
Okay.
One.
And then maybe restaurants. Restaurants have a lot of leftover food, which
Definitely.
are usually quite still good. You know, there's somebody I know who does Chinese food, that I can send a leaflet to and say, if you have leftover food on this day or any day at all, if you tell us how we can pick up or you can deliver, we can then use it to feed other people, like rice, for instance, cooked rice, which can't last more than a day, you know, and so on, things like that.
Thank
So,
you
and
very
then for
much.
the bread, we can make
What
it
is
a regular thing. And even the market people who are selling foodstuff, rather than their foodstuff spoiling at the end of the day or the week, we could take it off them and
correct?
distribute to needy people.
Wow, you've
So
said
that's
so
my
many
contribution.
different. Thank you, Ma. You said so many
I'm an
different
ideas
ideas.
person.
Yeah, I see
I
you're
don't
an
know about
idea
follow
person.
through.
You know, on your bajola soya, you need more hands to make it work. So, you know, the body has many parts. So again, none is unimportant, I should say. But I just want to thank everyone.
One more clarification before you close, Deola. I just wanted to give the timeline. So the event we're doing December 16th is like the first one. The big event of all the funds that we're collecting is going to be in January, because we've agreed that January is when after school, I think Mommy Grange was the one that mentioned that school fees are paid, that people are more strapped for cash come January. So we're looking at the end of January, early February for us to do the big distribution. But like Auntie said, and everyone has said, this is going to be ongoing and we'll continue to coordinate. One more thing is volunteers.
And may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, may I ask a question which you can answer along with everything else you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we going to focus on a certain category of society? Like Professor Grange said, mothers, pregnant women, and young children, babies and young children, because we can't really focus on everybody.
Yeah.
So,
I
Jumoke,
think
can I respond to that, please, Jumoke, if you don't mind? Again, the purpose of this conversation today is to plead to the public. A lot of what we're also discussing here are logistics. And I think we'll take this back to our meetings. This is a very, very important question. And it's very, very new. So as we are, you know, it's starting to implement and continuing to have meetings, I think a lot of things will become clearer on where best to put our energy. But that's a very, very important question. But just for the sake of time, I want to say thank you to all. Jumoke, please again put that Zelle information, the bank accounts information, coordinators, so that people can take that down as I'm making my closing statement. I want to say thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you to everyone who participated. We really appreciate you. These are ongoing projects. So it's not a one and done project. So you have, again, lots and lots of opportunities to join us. We're going to be having these conversations regularly, coming to you, giving you reports on where things are, what we've done, what we're trying to do, and how this evolves into bigger and great things. No person should go to bed hungry. So cook a little extra cup of rice, cook a little extra cup of beans, and feed those around you that you think don't have food to eat. Again, have a wonderful evening, have a wonderful day. And for those who are going to bed, good night. Thank you so much. This was really, really awesome.
Good night.
Yes, Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to
Thank
our
you.
mommies and aunties.
That was
to
nice.
Thank
Harry,
you,
thank
everybody.
you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Jumoke.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Biola.
Thank you.
Very
God
good,
bless
Biola.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
nice
you.
welfare.
God bless. I will
Good
share
night.
the link. I will share this to everyone. God bless you.
Yes,
Thank
and please
God bless-
post
and
on all
you
your
too.
social media.